Good morning and welcome to our live crafting session this morning. It is Monday the 10th of June 2024. My name's Jenny McCormack and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire, and that is here in the UK. A warm welcome to you. If you're watching live, do say hi. It's always lovely to know who is watching with us. And if you're watching on catch up or replay, whether that is on Facebook, whether that's on Facebook or whether that's on YouTube, if you have any queries or comments, don't hesitate to pop those in the comment section, whichever platform you're working on, and I will get back to you if it requires a response or an answer. Always appreciate comments or suggestions or any questions. So we have a new stamp set of the week. Oh, and a cat. Sorry, squirrel. Apologies for that. Oh, and he's back. I don't know why he's being so keen to be here this morning. I might have to shut him out, sorry. How'd you go, Poppet? There we are. He's had breakfast, so I can assure you he's not hungry, just looking for some some attention, I expect. So, good morning to you, Caroline. I can see that you've joined us this morning. So, the new stamp set we're using this week, we've gone back to some floral images. This is a Magnolia Mood, as you can see. And this features some stunning images that basically do all the work for you. Let me show you a couple of these. So I've used the large magnolia, and although most magnolia plants are pink or very pale pink, cream, white with a little hint of pink, there are some yellow magnolias. I did have to look them up because I thought maybe I'd created something that doesn't really exist, but there are a few yellow magnolia flowers around. So I've got this one here. This one I've actually stamped onto some designer paper, and it just gives a nice sort of botanical look, as if it's come out of some pages of a botanical book. This one I've stamped onto the postage stamp die, and I'll show you how I did this one because I'm going to recreate this or something very similar excuse me, this morning. And then I've got some other ones. So there are, of course, dies that go with this that cut these magnolias out. But because all of the shading, which is incorporated actually into the stamp, it's really, really easy to colour. Morning, Catherine. And perfect for people who are not very confident in colouring, because basically all the shading is already there. So we've got the little flower head here, and then a smaller flower, and then a leaf. There are 3 sentiments. Nice happy birthday in a little script writing. Thank you for being you, and then just a note to let you know that you're loved. And I have cut this one apart because it's not an expression that I would currently send to anybody. So I've cut it apart so that I've got thank you just on its own. So all I've done is taken the stamp, very carefully cut between the 2 lines of text. And the secret is not to try and tidy this up, but leave it as is, so that if you did want the sentiment back together as one, the 2 pieces will just slot back in really nicely on your block. Okay, so you won't find, oh, here's another sample. You won't find this stamp set in the catalogue. It's one of our online exclusives. The stamp set is £26, Magnolia Mood, and you can buy the dies separately for £32. But if you purchase the bundle during the month of June, the whole bundle is £46.25. So basically 26 for the stamp set, and then you can buy the dies for another £20, whereas the dies are normally 32. Okay, let's get creating. This is actually one of the additional dies that cuts out the magnolia flower and the petals and the leaves rather, and you can just colour that in or cut it out out of metallics if you wanted to. So this doesn't relate to the stamped image. Obviously we have a die to cut that out, but this is just so pretty. So you'll see that in use later. Okay, so let's give this one a go. I'm using the postage stamp die, so really easy go-to stamp die set. And I'm going to be using Melon Mambo as my colour. So I've got a base white card, I've got a Melon Mambo piece that I've cut down, and then our postage layer is going to go on top of that. What I'm going to do is stamp the background, and here I've used that lovely wood grain set, textured timber, which I've used a lot of recently. But what I want to do is protect the area that I'm going to stamp. So if you look very carefully, you'll notice that this is white space all around here, and then I've got the wood grain going around it. Hopefully you can see that. It's not really obvious. How clear that is to you. To me it looks quite fuzzy on my screen, so I hope it's okay. So what I'm going to do is grab a piece of grid paper so I don't get ink on my work surface. I'll just fold this used one in half so it's nice and clean. And I've chosen to do this portrait, but you could obviously do this in landscape as well, but I am going to turn it to one side because it's much easier to handle the stamp like that than it is vertically for my little hands. Okay, need to put the label on this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have cut the die shape of the magnolia. Oh, jolly good, thanks Caroline. And I'm just going to place that on here like so. So this covers that up, and in fact this was the one that I used because you can see the wood grain around it. And I'm quite happy to use a piece of card. You could use a piece of post-it note. This is obviously slightly larger than the image anyway because there's a small border around it. So what I'm going to do is pop this on here, and I might just add tiniest amount of glue, literally tiny amount, just to hold this in place. So this is where I'm going to pop. I'm going to put it maybe slightly high to the left so I've got space for my sentiment here. And then what I'm going to do is ink up my wood grain and then stamp all the way over, and then this will leave that section unstamped so I can stamp my magnolia in between. Now I've got basic beige here, which is a nice light brown. You could use crumb cake. What I'm actually going to do is move some of the ink. You can see how inky that is. So I've just moved some of the ink because I don't want it too dark. So I'm going to ink this up, just using that centre part. So inking up my wood texture. You could use anything. If you've got a stone textured one, you could use that. Maybe I'll do this one actually that way after all. So stamping that over the edge, and then I'm going to repeat that all the way up. I'm just overlapping it like so, and you want to turn this wood grain around really, so you've got the knots and things in different places. Use a different section of it, example here. And if you didn't have the dies, you could just fussy cut, stamp and fussy cut around your image. Just make it a little bit bigger than the image itself, so that you've got a little bit of a border. And then just that last bit I'll do there. Okay, so that was basic beige. You could use smoky slate, you could use a very pale pink if you wanted, for example. Okay, now I'm just going to lift that off, and so that leaves me with an open area where I'm going to stamp my magnolia here. It's going to go into there. She says, have I done that upside down? I have to. Maybe I just turned it around. Okay, so I'm going to stamp into this gap here, and let me just clean this one off. There we go. And I think I'm going to stamp this in grey granite. I want it fairly light. Let's have a look, see. You could obviously use espresso, basic grey, basic beige, any of those. Okay, that's it. So just lining it up roughly in that space. I appreciate you can't see all of the detail. Go. Nice amount of pressure. It's quite a big stamp. There we go. And there is our magnolia in there. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so now we can do some simple colouring, and I'm going to do this fairly quickly, but a few hints to show you on the way. Oh, that's really nice actually, that crisscross of the wood. So if you look at the leaves, we've got the centre part of the leaf, and what I've done is I've inked with my blends pens away from that centre line, so you still get that centre line showing. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm just going to do that. I've got granny apple green. Typically, having looked at the magnolia leaves, are actually quite dark. But, so I'm just taking my glasses off. So I'm just using the dark one basically either side of that centre line of the veins, a little bit round the edges, like so, and again either side of that, so that we get that detail. And this is one of those really effective stamps that, as I say, does all the work for you. and it's this one here. And then just coming away from that stem. Okay. So that was my dark granny apple. Now I've got the light granny apple. Just go over that, like so. A little bit in there. And then just using a circular motion to blend those in together. That's that one. So I hope everybody had a nice weekend. I had a full-on weekend, but it was really nice. I was teaching in Buckingham on Saturday. Had a really lovely class. It's such a lovely venue if you can get there. It's in Buckingham Library, and it's a lovely room. Okay, so can you see how I'm leaving these centre lines of the veins? This would be a great one for watercolouring as well, if you wanted to have a go at no line watercolouring. Okay, so those are my leaves. Now actually I'm wondering what I've used here. I'm wondering if I've used early espresso, because these leaves are much deeper, aren't they? Whereas these are much lighter. So I'm just wondering, I might just want to stamp another one and find espresso just to see. I didn't make a note of which colour I'd used, so that was a little bit remiss of me. So just inking this up. There we go. Okay. Just going to pop this on. Just want to see if it was espresso that I used. Yeah, I think it was. So can you see there's much more definition on this one than here? So what I can do is I can sort of do my reverse stamping. So what I can do, I'm going to use this one, I've decided. The other one's just a little bit too light for you to see. So I can pop this on here and then do my wood across it. And what I might do is do it at an angle, just for something different. So sorry about that. I need you, it's alright in person, but I need you to be able to see the detail really. So just going over this, and in fact this is, I don't know, this is probably easier to stamp that first. So it's a bit like masking. Well, it is like masking, I guess. And that one. And here. And then got a little corner. That'll do. Okay. That's better, isn't it? Right, sorry about that. Okay, let's just hop back in here with my leaf so you can see the difference. It was just a little bit too light, and I knew that you wouldn't be able to see the detail. Okay, take 2, but I'll do this pretty promptly. So, dark granny apple either side of this leaf, like so, and the edges like that. Just going to do this fairly quickly, and as I say, it's this sort of stamp, it's called a distinctive stamp, and it has all the light and shading in it, so it makes you look like an expert colouring, because all the shading is done for you. You could even leave it as is, of course. So I'm just doing that little bit around those edges. Just a light touch. That's all you need. Okay, I think that will do. It's Monday morning. There we go. And that really makes that, you can really see that detail of the shading, even though I've just used just 2 colours and I've not had to do a lot of blending with it, because the shading sort of does a lot of that for you. Okay. Again, leaving that centre line of the veins just as a bit of a contrast, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to do some of the flower. So I've got dark melon mambo, light melon mambo, and light bubble bath. I'm just going to use the light in the middle, and I'm just sorry, that's Gino scratching away, bless her. Okay, so I'm just doing this, although it's the lighter of the two. I'm probably not going to use the dark, just going to blend this in. Okay, let's see what that looks like. So this is like bubble bath. You could use any of your pinks, you could use petal pink, whatever you want. And some of these magnolia flowers are almost just a sort of white or a very pale pink or cream. So don't feel you have to colour the whole thing in. I'm going to try and keep this one just lightly coloured. So the secret with blending is going over the join of any two colours until the colours blend in together and you can't see a line. Okay, that's that one. Got this one here. Very therapeutic. Also means I'll have a nice quiet coffee and card session, because when everybody's colouring they all go quiet while they're concentrating. Okay, I'll lift this up so you can see it in a little bit more detail. We did have another Magnolia set, I want to say a few years ago now. Okay. Let's see how that's looking. Nearly done. I don't want to keep you too long on a Monday morning. And then we do have the colour lifter, which basically will take out some of the colour. So if you've gone a little bit over the edge or it's just too dark, you can use the colour lifter. It's a bit like a bleach pen. Just apply a little bit, let it dry, and then apply some more as you need to. You need to give it a minute or so for it to start working. There we go. Now I've just got this centerpiece, so I think, am I going to use dark melon mambo? Yeah, why not? And I'm just dotting it here so that I don't have just a one sort of piece. It gives it a bit of interest. And you can of course add little dots to here to soften that, like that. Okay, I think that's enough colouring. I might go back and do a little bit more, but I'm happy with it as is. Like so. It would work either way, wouldn't it? Okay, let's pop the pens away. Let's stamp a sentiment and put it together. You could add Wink of Stella, definitely, if you wanted a bit of sparkle on these petals or on the leaves. Let's add my thank you. I don't think is going to fit. Let me see if I've got something else. I've got a hello from another stamp set. Should I have to put the label on? Let's do that. This is Poised Peony. So let's pop this one on. I need to be able to see, because it's quite an informal hello. I need to know when it's straight. Right, let's grab a block, stamp that in. I'm going to stamp it in espresso. Oops, got a bit carried away with that round the edge. I know that this ink pad was a bit dry, so let's put it in there. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to put that together. So this is Melon Mambo backing. That's going to be my layers. I think I'm going to put this one down, but put the other one maybe on dimensionals. If you wanted to add a little bit of ribbon or some baker's twine around it, that might look quite pretty. And I'm just doing this slightly high of centre, to mimic that, so it goes like that. Because this die is not the same aspect ratio as our cards. Just wondering if I've got some thread to hand. Funny enough, I have some memorando, but that's a bit thicker than I wanted, really. Oh, I've got some green. That would look quite nice. Other than that, I would go for our baker's twine in crumb cake, but the green might look quite nice. Not quite sure what's happened here though. Okay, just trim that off and we're done. Let's have a look. Nice thing about these postage stamp dies is they've got very useful indents for wrapping around. Right, just going to see whether I like it. I'm not convinced. It needs to go, it's too low. So if I have it, it's got to go a little bit higher. Let's try that. Yes, I think crumb cake would look nicer. Maybe even without the bow. No. I don't like it. But I might do a little bow. Let's have a look, see. Just fold it over. Just undo this. I think if it's not going together, that's telling me I don't need it. What do you reckon? Okay, let's pop this up on dimensionals. I might pop a couple of gems or something on there. I've got some white twine to hand. Right. Get the right size. I've got all small dimensionals to hand. Here they are. I knew I'd put some out somewhere. Right, so I'm going to support this like so. That. 1, 2. And then just take those off. Okay. So just taking that just high of centre, and I've got some and I can get it out. Some little pink sequins. That's what I'm going to do, add those instead. There we go. Stop them around. 1, 2, avoiding the cat hair that I can see on there, and 3. There we go. I'm happy with that. Alright, so finally our finished card, and apologies for the slight delay. So this was the one that I stamped, so it's much lighter, and I've lost all of that detail. Now if that does happen, what you can do, if you have a fine liner pen or something similar, is you can go around the edges, for example, of the flower, and I would do this after I've coloured it in. But if you want to just add that little bit of definition back in, then you can do that with a fine liner pen. If I just do it around here, you'll see it just makes that leaf stand out. And if you do it all the way over, you don't have to do every single little piece, but it does give quite a nice effect, almost like you've line drawn it and then coloured it in. I know that doesn't look like anything, but I promise you it will make a difference. I think I've got a sample here somewhere, or not, where I've done that. Oh yes, hold on, let me show you. This was on Prize Peonies. Which I buried now. So I was having a go at some watercolour, and I felt that the detail I'd watercoloured out basically. So I added the pen line going around. So there we go. Okay, so thank you so much. So our coffee and card this afternoon is the aeroplane still. And then this Magnolia Mood stamp set starts us off at Coffee and Card tomorrow. And just to let you know that I have spaces available for the 22nd of June at the event I'm running with Sam in Evenly. So I'm emailing out details of that to local people. So you'd be most welcome to join us. There's 4 classes that you get, £35 in total, and it runs from effectively 10 till 2, and 2 classes with Sam, 2 classes with me, and it's new products, and they've not been used before in the way that we're using them, if that makes any sense. So brand new projects, that's the word. Okay, right, I'm babbling on too much. I need my coffee. I will let you get on. Thank you so much. Here's the finished card. I'll just lift that up. So pretty. I'm going to start looking for all the magnolias around now. Thank you so much. I look forward to crafting with you again Thursday evening of this week. And obviously to those of you that I meet in person at Coffee and Card, I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye for now.